Cool. Hi, I'm Julianne, and good morning I'm in San Francisco right now, and good afternoon to all of my friends over in the UK. I woke up super early to try and get as many of the live talks as I could to watch them. So I've been on Discord since like 5:30, so this has been fun. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about how to make an impact as a mentor. So to start, I'm an experienced designer. I'm also a design mentor and a speaker. And professionally, I have a background in designing user interfaces for a range of technology, including mobile applications, websites, virtual reality, and augmented reality activations. And as a mentor and a design professional, I'm super passionate about connecting with and uplifting the next generation of designers, especially designers from demographics that are typically underrepresented in tech and the design industries. And I love that I can provide insight for my mentees by drawing from my industry experience, and that I can grow as a professional by learning what today's students are excited about and seeing how student passions kind of evolve from year to year. So I've been a mentor in a few different capacities over my design career. I began as a student mentor for underclassmen in my design program at the Rochester Institute of Technology. And that involved reviewing first and second year student projects, giving feedback on their work, and kind of giving them an idea of what to expect in the coming years of their design education. And then after graduating and moving into my first full-time position, I began partnering with more formal mentor matching programs to connect with students and help with their transition from student to industry professional. Also, when I first moved from Rochester to San Francisco right after graduation, I knew almost no one in the city. And I was really looking for a sense of community and a kind of fostering more networking connections. And I found that joining mentorship programs were a great place for that. So next, let's get clear on what a mentor actually is. So a mentor is different than, say, a teacher or a sponsor. A teacher is someone who teaches curriculum, typically in a classroom setting, and a sponsor is generally someone in a workplace who has power to advocate for your advancement, such as a senior executive or your manager. A mentor, on the other hand, is someone who can help you expand your network, help with goal setting, and help kind of put things in context for you and for your advancement. Now, one person can fulfill more than one of these roles. Like a professor can also be a mentor, or a manager can also be a mentor. But it's important to kind of distinguish each role having their place and what each one of those people would do. So let's say you've decided to become a mentor. Whether you've signed up for an official program or you've opted to connect with someone more informally, you have the potential to make a massive impact on your mentee's future. So here are some guidelines to ensure that you make a positive impact on your mentee. Number one, prepare yourself. You want to do this prior to your first meeting with your mentee. So I encourage you to sit down and kind of define your goals as a mentor privately. So what do you want out of the relationship, and what can you offer? And write these down to reflect back on later. For example, your offerings might be giving advice on submitting college applications, how to start in a particular industry, and giving feedback on projects. And then your goals might be connecting with someone in a particular field that you're interested in and you want to learn more about. So for example, I recently had a mentee who is a grad student studying human-computer interaction. And while I have more industry experience than her, and I could kind of give insight and advice on job hunting, help her formulate her portfolio case studies for interviewing, and kind of growing as a professional, she could tell me about the ins and outs of her program and the grad school experience, since that's something that I'm interested in, but I haven't actually pursued yet. So it's important that the relationship between the mentor and the mentee can be mutually beneficial, and establishing your offerings and your goals beforehand will help with that. So next, in your initial conversations, really allow your mentee to pilot the conversation. Ultimately, it's up to your mentee to make the most out of their relationship with you and be responsible for their own development. So let them ask questions, let them describe their goals, and explain what they hope to gain from your mentorship. This might include you describing a typical day at your workplace, your mentee discussing their future career goals, and maybe your mentee wanting to build a portfolio site or complete a full portfolio project over the course of your time together. Again, mentorship is not just you, the professional, talking at your mentee. It's a collaborative discussion. So mentees should really drive the initial conversation. However, you should also be prepared to lead the discussion and kind of look for cues to take on that leadership role. So during your initial meeting, your mentee might seem shy or timid or unsure. So keep in mind that if they're a student, this might be their first interaction with a professional, and they might just be nervous. It doesn't mean that they're disengaged or disinterested in the relationship. Rather, again, it's a cue for you to take the lead and try out different possible paths to establish goals with your mentee. So a lot of the mentees that I've had have been high school or early college age students. And most of the time, they're around their peers all the time, people close to their age and generally in the same life stage as them. So while you might not feel intimidating, there's a chance they're intimidated by the situation and they don't want to say the wrong thing or come off as, uninformed. So this is a cue to take the lead and prompt them with some questions like what they're studying, if they're in school, what their favorite subject is, or you can ask them to walk you through a project they're currently working on. You don't need to start with any difficult questions. The important thing is to get the conversation going so that they can feel more comfortable talking to you and getting to know you. The sun is 100% in my face. Just scooch around a bit. All right, next. Understand your mentee's position. So get to know your mentee's situation early on in the relationship. Are they in school? What year are they in? What classes are they taking? What's their learning environment like? What's their work environment like? Are they juggling school and a job? Are they a caretaker? Make sure you understand where your mentee is coming from and kind of what they're juggling in their life context. Especially now during COVID, having context for what your mentee is dealing with, whether that's having to do e-learning or online learning or Zoom school, or having to commute to campus, et cetera, it can really help. And this also helps when setting logistics and boundaries in the mentor-mentee relationship, such as what days and times you'll each be available to meet, how often you'll meet, how you'll communicate outside of meetings, and the timeline of the relationship. So for example, some mentor-mentee relationships are a one-time meeting, whereas others are ongoing meetings where you meet, say, every 2 weeks for a certain number of months in a more structured format. Also, depending on your mentee's personality, get to know where they would want to meet. So again, this would be post-COVID, but they might prefer to meet in a more casual setting like a coffee shop versus meeting in your office. And this can help foster a more personal connection and get to know each other better. Next, get to know who your mentee really is. So your mentee is greater than their degree, their class, or their job, and really try to get to know them as a whole person. Ask them about what they like to do outside of school and outside of work, if they have any hobbies, what their dream career might be, if they have any side passions or projects. Understanding who your mentee really is as a person will help you collaborate when establishing goals for their future development. This is also a good chance for them to get to know you better as well. So you can talk about your side projects, your hobbies, things you're passionate about, and let them get to know you more holistically and feel more comfortable around you with those non-work related questions as well. Next, inspire discussions about the future. No future goal or creative idea is too ambitious. So get your mentee brainstorming from their interests, their passions, causes they care about, their hobbies or people they're inspired by. Again, no goal is too ambitious. As mentors, we really want to encourage ambition in our mentees. The role of a mentor isn't really to say, oh, that's not realistic, or that's not related to your degree, or that's not really on track for you. The role of a mentor is to say, that sounds so cool. Let's think about ways that we can tie in what you're learning and what you're working on to this future goal that you have. And to say, let me find some resources for you on that. So to really assist them however you can in developing that goal. For example, another one of my past mentees, along with being a full-time college student, also ran an art nonprofit, and they were creating their first collaborative zine with local artists. And I just mentioned this in the Discord, but the zine community online, as well as the Bay Area zine community, is super resourceful and is really strong. So when they asked me for some resources on creating and printing zines, I went out to my networks and found some recommendations for local printers and resources that they could use for their nonprofit. Another one of my mentees aspired to work for one of the larger tech companies. So we discussed ways for her to begin networking with current employees at that company, as well as how to use her portfolio to highlight her skill set for the role she wanted. So really inspiring those discussions about future goals for your mentee, and really not bringing them down to earth and not trying to tie them to any one degree or one skill set, but really using your own network and your own resources to build them up as much as you can. Next, build trust. This is one of the most, maybe the most important one. But as you get to know your mentee, establish a mutually beneficial relationship with them as equals. Talk as if you're friends. It really doesn't need to turn into a teacher-student or leader-follower relationship. You can connect as equals, even if one of you has more experience in a field or is older. This helps avoid any unintentional condescension in your discussions. If your mentee has a question that they might be embarrassed about having, this helps, make them feel more comfortable asking those questions. And this also helps if you're mentoring someone who's older than you, because that can be a different dynamic than mentoring someone younger than you. If someone has had a whole career in a different sector and is now coming into your field and you're mentoring them, it helps establish that equal conversation. So mutual respect is really key. Take notes during your meetings, keep up with what's going on in your mentee's life, and remember to ask about it later so that they know that you're thinking of them, they know that you're keeping up with them. And take the time to send events or resources their way if that's something they've expressed interest in, and really just make it a point to keep up the relationship and make sure that they know that you're engaged with their development. You're not just talking at these meetings, but you're really engaged with their development all the time. Next, do the work on your own. Remain engaged in the greater industry community in a range of ways so that you can have the resources and networks necessary to help your mentee develop. Some examples include networks or relevant Slack spaces for your mentee to join if they have expressed interest in wanting to network more. Online classes if they have expressed interest in learning a new skill or learning more about a certain topic. Software, this is really helpful for students. If they don't have the budget for certain software, if they want to do UX or UI, finding a free version of UX software, or if they want to develop maybe some free coding resources. You are in a position to be a wealth of knowledge and resources for your mentee, and you as the mentor know so much more than you realize, and you have connections that can make even more of an impact on your mentee's development. So I personally love going to design events, and before COVID, I loved going to networking events in the city. Now that we're in COVID, it's actually kind of fun that I get to do like conferences like this, where you're based, not where I live, but I can still, attend the conference, speak at the conference. I can see all these events going on. So I try to take some time each week to search for events on Eventbrite and Instagram and Twitter. And then if my mentees have expressed interest in a certain topic or a certain skill, and I find relevant resources and events for them, I'll just send them along and invite them to join me. Next, keep it real. You don't have to know everything as a mentor, and you don't have to skip over the negatives or failures you've experienced. Authenticity has a far greater impact on your mentee than perfection. And being authentically yourself can and will clear the way for your mentees to feel comfortable being authentically themselves. So plans and agendas are really great tools, especially for someone who's newer to mentoring, who's still kind of figuring out their discussion style and their collaboration style. But genuine conversation can make the most tremendous impact on your mentee. So you can tell them about a promotion that you didn't get or a conflict you experienced at work or during a project. And it's really important to normalize failures because your mentee will experience them at some point, and those kinds of situations can always be kind of flipped in a productive way. So if you were passed over for a promotion or a job, you can talk about how you grew from that experience, or how you pivoted to a new path after being rejected from one path. And if you experience conflict on a project, you can talk about what you learned and how you communicated with your team. All of those things really help your mentee develop, not just seeing you, swiftly move up the chain at a company or make all these achievements. Your mentees will really benefit from seeing you as a whole person, and that includes your failures. So there's always a way to keep it real and use those situations to help your mentee grow more. And number 10, be encouraging. Believe in your mentee, allow them to have lofty goals, encourage it even. It's your job as a mentor to impart your expertise and experience and help them craft goals and tangible next steps to reach those goals. So you are really their partner in crime. Again, no future goal or creative idea is too ambitious. It's our job to hear our mentees' goals and dreams and help them see a path to success based on, our experience, the experience of our network, and all these resources that we can provide to them. So really be encouraging. Okay, those slides didn't download. Well, the last slide was just a recap. So to go back through, so just always be encouraging to your mentee. Make sure that you have goals of your own so that you can set up, an offering and a goal for your mentor-mentee relationship. Make sure that you have resources to provide to your mentees, have networks ready to introduce them so that they can always grow. And overall, just be encouraging and allow your mentee to be as ambitious as they want to be. Thank you.